switching gears a little bit, but it's something that I did discuss in my highlight reel for 2024. Today we're talking about unemployment, the job market, challenges that I faced, and how I overcame them, because there were many. There were plenty. The last company I was with full-time, I worked there for almost 2 years, about a year and a half or so, and we just had a very tumultuous relationship. There were very few redeeming qualities about the position that I was working. On that team, I was not feeling valued. I did not feel like my skills were being put to use. I did not feel like my ideas were being heard, and eventually it started to just chip away at like my self-esteem. It chipped away at a lot of like the values that I have and hold deeply. It felt very performative, like my impact on the team, and I just didn't feel like there was any sort of upward trajectory for my position. I was kind of just the person that received all of the tasks that nobody else wanted to do. And I'm not saying that I just felt that way. I was told that I was being given tasks that no one else wanted to do, or someone else didn't want to do, or somebody didn't have the time for. So I was kind of the catch-all. I didn't have like one specific duty, one specific responsibility. My job was changing all the time. Like it was just bad work environment. Like it was not very healthy work culture. And a lot of things that they would do were to control me. It just didn't feel like a very safe work environment for me. I felt like I was being judged often. And I realized that when I complained about one of the senior team members that I was reporting to quite often, that's when I kind of put the nail in my coffin at this job. Like, I spoke up. Yeah, like there was a team member who was just extremely unapproachable, like did not make talking to her easy ever, okay? So I went to my supervisor and told him, like, it's becoming really difficult to do my job professionally and in a timely manner, because I find this employee to be very, very unapproachable, and in many cases unprofessional. Especially when it comes to like gossiping about other team members when we're on a call that has nothing to do with them, has nothing to do with their work, what they do, anything like that. I'm just not, like, to me that's unprofessional. I'm not here to gossip with you. We're not here to kiki. I'm not your friend. We're coworkers, period. So, and that tells me how you be talking about me behind my back, so don't do that. But anyways, so we go through like March of last year, and like that's our biggest like annual meeting season, a very busy time, very difficult time for the entire team. But I was the coordinator of all of those meetings. They threatened me with the PIP, the performance improvement plan, and did not give me it until after we got out of our most difficult season of the year. And then soon after, they fired me in June of 2024. When I got fired, I took it hard, obviously, like mostly because I didn't know what I was gonna do next. And like I had been looking for jobs and stuff like that, but I was not like full-time looking for a job. So having the security of a job while looking for a job is a very different experience than needing to find a job ASAP Rocky, you know? So yeah, I took it hard. And then eventually I was like, wait a second, I hated it there. Like I was miserable there. Lifted my spirits a little bit, just knowing that whatever I find, it'll be something new. It'll be something better. I probably will not feel as bad about myself as I did there. And if I do, I'll know how to move immediately, you know? So there were a lot of lessons learned from getting fired. Not that it didn't feel good. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't wish it on my worst. So this period of being unemployed had a lot of ups and downs. Like there were just some days where I was really, really hard on myself. And it's not because like eventually the idea of like getting fired was kind of just left in the dust. Eventually being unemployed, it's just about the unemployment of it all. Like it's just about not being able to find a job. That becomes really, really difficult for you. And then also having to like go and pitch yourself when you were just like basically showed that you're not that valuable of a employee, like that can take a toll as well. But once you like go and have conversations with people, once you go and show what you know in different spaces, different environments for other industries that do suit you and do fit you and do feel comfortable and do show your strengths, like that's when you start to realize like, I'm not dumb, those just weren't my people. And they weren't. And I knew that. And I felt that for the entire almost 2 years that I was there. But security can do that to a person. Like security can have you blinded. let's get into rejection emails, because I received a lot of rejections over these 6 months, okay? Some of them, most of them were very like automatically generated. Some of them didn't even have my name in it. Some of them didn't even say Dear Imani. Like the automation didn't even work. It would say Dear bracket, insert name, bracket, and they would send it just like that. So eventually you become a little bit desensitized to receiving rejection emails. Eventually you start to realize that a lot of these hiring managers, a lot of these HR professionals don't actually care that much about who's on the other end of these applications. And that takes a toll as well. Especially when you know that you need a job. This isn't like, you're not doing this for shits and gigs. Like, it's not funny. And it becomes a lot less funny once you want like month 4 to 6. Like, yeah, it becomes very serious. So it is hurtful when you realize that like there's no telling when you'll find one. It has nothing to do with your qualifications. You can be overqualified for every position that you apply to and still not get them because people aren't even paying attention. Your hiring processes are too long. There were so many times where I went through a hiring process that was more than 5 steps, like jumping through hoop after hoop after hoop. You're getting hopeful as you go along just to be told that you didn't get the job and they chose somebody else. That one stings. Like there was a period where I had like applied to a job. I had gone through like the first, second, third round, and then the person that's doing the hiring goes on vacation for like a month. So then the next interview that I had wouldn't have been until a month later. And it's like, do I look like I can just sit around for a final interview in a month? Like, that's ridiculous. Or they'll go ghost and then respond and be like, oh yeah, we didn't go with you with a different candidate. Like, yeah, I figured. Why would you spin back? I don't even want to hear from you no more. Leave me alone. So things like that is just not a good feeling. Like, I wish that HR professionals would take that in mind a little bit more. I understand it's a lot on your plate. I understand there's a lot of people applying for a lot of roles. I get all of that, but you cannot lose your sense of humanity when dealing with applicants. Like, it's not fair. It's not okay. This job market's really hard. There needs to be a little bit more compassion kind of built into that system of recruiting. That's just my personal opinion, my little 2 cents. What do I know though? There were a lot of periods for me where I was like, I just don't know if I can keep doing this. Like, I don't know if I can keep on just sitting here. And so it did fuel me pouring more energy into my business alongside looking for jobs. But the main thing that I was doing for both my business and to find full-time work was networking. I never stayed, like throughout the entire 6 months that I was unemployed, I was networking. Like, if I saw something on Eventbrite, I'm there. Sign me up. It could be a job fair, just a random networking event on a weekend. It could be anything. Like, I'm just talking to people, sharing my story, because that's what matters, is your story. We be out here talking about skills that we learned in college and stuff like that. Really, like, your story encompasses all of that. And so sharing that is what kind of got, not necessarily like my foot in the door, but it got my name into spaces that it wouldn't have otherwise been. Because in my job search, I wasn't staying within the same industry that I was working in for a year and a half. I was switching industries completely. So from like community development to international development, they don't run in the same circles. So I had to force myself into spaces that I wouldn't have otherwise been in. That included volunteering with organizations, looking for like an annual convention, annual conference where everybody, like all the power players from this industry, come together and have discussions about different things. Volunteering for events like that is what gets your foot in the door and like has people vouching for you. You know what I mean? It also gives you a little bit more of a directory to go through while you're doing your job search. That way you're not like limiting yourself to 1 or 2 organizations that you really want to work at. Like, I didn't realize how many organizations I was missing out on until I went to some of those events or went to some of those conventions or conferences. So a lot of these conferences, a lot of these summits, they're really expensive. So when you are unemployed and can't afford to just spend money willy-nilly, like can't afford to just dig out of your savings like that, volunteering is the way to go, because then you have access to the people for free. Take notes, take notes. And even if you do have a job, I think that it's still nice to just save money whenever you can. Okay? I found that networking for me stopped being about job leads. Like, it wasn't, oh, is this person valuable to me because they can help me get a job? Eventually, it was about genuine connection. It was about being able to just grab coffee with somebody and learn from them and hear what their experience is like with their international development organization, learning about how they've been navigating, like how they've been jumping different organizations and stuff like that throughout their career. Learning about what it's like to career transition into international development was really helpful, because I don't know anybody that's in this field. Mentorship is like key to me, key, Being able to hear somebody's personal first-hand story, you really can't beat it. Being unemployed definitely took a lot of focus, okay? Like, and I mean focus in every sense of the word. Like, there was no space for me to shut down completely. Oh, I would have a breakdown in a heartbeat, okay? I still have breakdowns to this day. But being able to lock back in is one of the hardest parts, but it's so key. Like, if I were to have gotten derailed for longer than I needed to, shaking back wouldn't have happened. The only way to change your circumstances is to keep going. And that takes a lot of focus. It takes tenacity, but it takes a lot of focus. Because you can get so distracted by what ifs, why me's. Like, it's easy. It's really easy to, but you gotta just find your way. You gotta find your lane, find your routine in order to stay focused and stay locked in. So 3 tips that I would have with today's job market is being super intentional about the organizations and the companies that you are researching. Research the right ones. Reach out to the right ones, okay? Get in touch with the right people at the right organization. Get on LinkedIn and go super deep. Don't just look at the company. Don't just look at the job description. Go look at their HR department. Go look at who's recruiting, okay? Yeah, do that. Number 2, I would say reach out authentically. Reach out human to human. The relationships that you build need to be mutually beneficial. So if you show up like, hey, so when you gonna get me that job? You're just in it to get what you want and did. So be mindful. Be mindful. And Zamir, follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. It is so easy for other people to forget that you even reached out to them. Like, people get wrapped up in their own schedules. I get wrapped up in my own schedule. I had a lot going on. There's a lot going on up here. But what I do, personal tip, I keep a list of people I need to follow up with. I do this for my friends too. If I haven't spoken to my friends in a minute, I add them to, like, and I think of them randomly when I don't have time to reach out. I add them to a list of people that I plan to reach out to in like the next few days. Because I'm thinking about you. It's just that if I'm busy, this might be a fleeting thought. We need to come back. So yes, keeping a running list of people that you need to check in with professionally, personally, all of that, just to keep your relationships like maintained. Maintaining relationships as an adult when you have your own schedule and your own things to do is not an easy task, but it needs to be done. Yeah, keep a little list if you want to check in with. So what keeps me going despite like unemployment challenges, which there's so many. Like, I could have spent all day on this video telling you all the challenges of being unemployed, but I would say scheduling, being super intentional about my schedule. Like, one thing about it, when one ball drops, it's so easy to drop the rest of them. Like, I be quick and ready to drop the rest of them. But having something that's just like stable, something that's constant, something that's consistent is what brought me a bit of sanity through all of this. A bit of sanity. Being on top of my routines outside of being unemployed and like frantically doing interviews randomly and things of that nature. Leaning on your support systems, whoever that may be. Leaning on my support system kept me motivated. I think that having people in your corner who are really rooting for you and who really understand like what you're going through, who understand like how to help you and like are willing to put resources towards it and like offer up suggestions, things like that, put you in contact with the right people. All of that is so important to like just knowing that you're not alone in this. Like, even if it's not people that are unemployed necessarily, like you're just not alone in the process of affirmations. Like, I'm not somebody who like puts sticky notes on a mirror and looks at them every day saying you're beautiful, you're great, you're intelligent, you smart, you know, but affirmations are still so important. Like, there were really times where I'd be driving and I'm like, there were times where I had to just like check in with myself and be like, you're okay. Like, you're still doing the things, okay? Like, you're doing all of the things that you need to be doing in order to find a job and to find employment. So just keep going, keep doing the things. Like, mental check-ins, like in my head while I'm driving, like it's important. I said all of that about support systems, but at the end of the day, only you got you. Only you can keep you alive and moving and pushing. You know, nobody's coming. Mel Robbins said that one. No one's coming. So remember that. So I would just encourage anybody that's in a similar situation to stay focused, stay positive as much as you possibly can, as much as you have the capacity to, and also ask for what you need. Like, if you need space, if you need time, if you need somebody to help hold you accountable, like, ask for that. Ask for that. And even if you don't feel like you have a support system, go find people at these networking events to be your support system. Like, go share your story with people who will understand the struggle. You know what I mean? Like, there are people that I spoke to that work in international development now who struggle to get into that industry. And hearing their stories, like, validating my experience was so encouraging. Knowing that there's a way out of this, and that I'll find mine. In due time, I'll find mine. And having it validated that this is in no way easy. Because it's not. It really isn't. And I think that it's so important to take care of yourself and put you first in every scenario. Like, if you need to fall off the grid, go ghost. If you need to go take a little trippy trip, like a little road trip somewhere, and not tell nobody, I get it. I've been there. I felt it. It's a real thing. Start asking some questions. Like, figure out why you weren't chosen for certain positions. Like, and they might not respond, they might respond, but let them help you navigate this job market and, like, help find you a job. It's a little bit more this, somebody's a little bit more that, and that could be the case, but you would never know what that reason is unless you ask them, because they're the ones that made the choice at the end of the day. So it's definitely worth just asking the question. And sometimes you gotta put your pride aside in order to do something like that, but I would recommend it personally. Please, I hope that these tips help. I hope that I can be a source of encouragement. If anybody is, like, going through this and wants to talk or wants any type of support, I am so happy and willing to be there for you. I'm also really grateful and really glad to say that I recently signed an offer letter in my industry, in global education and international development. And so I'm super excited to start this month. But it was a journey. It was a really long journey, and it took so much patience that I did not even know that I had. So yeah, like, keep going, man. Like, this life is not easy for anybody. And especially if you have specific career goals, especially if you're not looking for one, like, just any job. Like, I don't think that finding any job is easy, but I do think that it's easier than, like, putting all of your eggs in that basket in that industry that you want to go into. So you got career goals like that where you're trying to really lock in on a specific industry, going through a career transition, and you want to talk, please reach out, let me know. I'd love to have some conversations about it. So, in starting this brand new job, I'm really excited to be doing 90 Days Getting Right so I can get my mind right and focused to kind of enter into this new position and do the best that I can do and show up as my best self. Because that's the era that we're in 2025. We showing up as our best selves, okay? So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to starting, and I'm hoping that I get to document parts of that transition on here as well. So, till next time, y'all. Bye. Thank you.